very warm welcome. You're watching CNN News 18. I'm Akanksha Swaroop. Let's begin with our top focus on US President's visit to Belfast today. Of course, that is going to be followed by his visit to Ireland. US President Joe Biden reached Northern Ireland for a brief visit to mark the 25th anniversary of the Good Friday Agreement. He was welcomed by UK's Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. Now, the Good Friday Agreement is a peace deal that largely ended decades of bloodshed between factions of Northern Ireland and the government of Britain and Ireland. Now, Biden said that his top priority was to keep the peace and support recent post-Brexit trade deals that allow Northern Ireland to fully access the EU single market and even its customs union. During this visit, Joe Biden planned to highlight the US role of 25 years ago in ending this deadly bloodshed in Northern Ireland while catching up with distant relatives in the Republic of Ireland. That will take place in a short while from now, as we are learning that Joe Biden has already arrived in Dublin. It's important to highlight that this has been Joe Biden's first trip back as America's president. In fact, the UK-EU agreement has still left Northern Ireland without a government, with the Democratic Unionist Party, also known as the DUP, opposed and refusing to constitute a new assembly. And that's why it's jeopardizing the Good Friday Agreement, in which the United States is heavily politically and economically invested. That's one reason why Biden's visit this week has been carefully choreographed by the United States to warn the UK government to get its house in order.
US President Joe Biden has touched down in Northern Ireland, where he was greeted by Britain's Rishi Sunak on the tarmac late Tuesday. The president is there to mark 25 years since the Good Friday Agreement, a peace deal that largely ended decades of bloodshed, and to celebrate his Irish roots, a heritage he's fiercely proud of. Biden told reporters on Air Force One his top priority was to, quote, keep the peace and support recent post-Brexit trade deals that allow Northern Ireland to fully access the EU's single market and customs union. But a shadow was cast over the occasion. A protest from Northern Ireland's pro-British unionists threatens to unravel the province's mandatory power-sharing government, a key part of the agreement. For a year now, the Democratic Unionist Party has boycotted the National Assembly and other institutions in anger at post-Brexit trade rules which treat Northern Ireland differently to the rest of the UK. Biden is expected to meet officials from the 5 main Northern Irish parties on Wednesday. He may float the possibility of closer investment ties between the US and Northern Ireland to encourage an end to the impasse. Security concerns were also raised on Tuesday by the discovery of 4 pipe bombs in Londonderry, a city 70 miles from where Biden is staying. Police in a statement linked the explosive devices to Irish nationalist rioters who attacked police there on Monday.
Security was tight in Belfast on Wednesday for US President Joe Biden's brief visit to mark the 25th anniversary of the Good Friday Accord. The Against the Odds agreement, struck on the 10th of April 1998, committed armed groups to stop fighting, ended direct UK rule, and set up a Northern Ireland legislature and government with power shared between British Unionist and Irish nationalist parties. American grit was essential to getting Northern Ireland's warning sights to make peace 25 years ago with the Good Friday Agreement.
It's nice, it shows that they have that such a large superpower such as America having that support for something that's very crucial here. Obviously, it's something that stopped the violence after decades and centuries of violence, really. So it's nice to have that kind of support coming over here for that reason. It's really helpful. It's just. Yeah, it's a nice feeling. It shows that we're a very small country, very small city, but we still have that reach. That's nice for us.
Biden arrived in Belfast on Tuesday evening to celebrate that anniversary, but few expect him to resolve a new political crisis that has rattled the peace deal and put Northern Ireland's government on ice. Biden was greeted at the Belfast International Airport by UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak and will be holding talks with the leader and representatives of Northern Ireland's political parties. But he's not scheduled to visit Stormont, seat of the Northern Ireland Assembly. It has been suspended since the Democratic Unionist Party, which formed half of a power-sharing government, walked out a year ago over post-Brexit trade dispute.
My expectations not great, I have to be brutally honest. We have prevaricated for well over a year now, and even since the signing of the Good Friday Agreement there's been numerous stoppages of the institutions of Stormont. Whether or not Mr Biden's visit can in 24 or 48 hours pull people together and perhaps give a message that, you know, we really do need to get back to government, I don't know, but hopefully he can do that. I know there's no more powerful person certainly to be over that could give out that message, but yes, let's just hope that it's successful and we do get something back and running, because we really need a government.
The US President is spending less than 24 hours in Northern Ireland before moving on to the Republic of Ireland, where he will address the Dublin Parliament, attend a gala banquet and visit a brace of ancestral hometowns in east and west of the country during a 3-day visit.
U.S. President Joe Biden's visit to Northern Ireland coincides with a particularly delicate time in politics there. This footage underscores it. Dissidents in the City of Londonderry attacking police just a day before Biden's arrival during a rally opposing the 25th anniversary of the peace accord that capped the decades of sectarian violence known as the Troubles. So what's behind Biden's visit, and why does it matter? Biden, along with the British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, is marking the anniversary of that peace accord, the 1998 Good Friday Agreement, which was supported at the time by former President Bill Clinton, the fellow Democrat who also played a hand in its negotiations. Biden has Irish ancestry, often quotes Irish poets, and is the first American president to visit Northern Ireland in 10 years. But the trip comes at a sensitive political time. For example, pro-British unionists loyal to London continue to boycott the power-sharing government that was a major part of the Good Friday Agreement. And because of Brexit, one of Belfast's political parties, the Democratic Unionist Party, or DUP, is also protesting trade rules that treat Northern Ireland different from the rest of the UK. Its leader, Geoffrey Donaldson, is seen here. On Biden's agenda are meetings with representatives of 5 political parties, and he's expected to float American investment opportunities to help break the impasse. The White House said he's not planning to pressure them. The DUP has previously criticized Biden when he waded into that Brexit debate before. Violence also still crops up sporadically here. The British intelligence agency MI5 recently raised the threat level for domestic terrorism in Northern Ireland to severe, the highest since the rating system was introduced 13 years ago.
And when we talk about Joe Biden's visit, it's also important to tell you what is the Good Friday Agreement that President Biden is in Northern Ireland for. Here's the detail of it. Now, the Good Friday Agreement, or the Belfast Agreement, is an agreement that was signed on the 10th of April back in the year 1998. The deal brought an end to 30 years of conflict within Northern Ireland, known as the Troubles. The agreement was approved by public votes in Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. So what were these Troubles? Northern Ireland was created back in the year 1921 and remained part of the UK when the rest of Ireland became an independent state, which, as we all know, is known as Ireland. This created a split in the population between the Unionists, who wished to see Northern Ireland stay within the United Kingdom, and Nationalists, who wanted it to become part of the Republic of Ireland and not the UK. And that led to armed groups from both sides carrying out bombings and shootings that killed more than 3,500 people and even lasted almost 30 years. What does the Good Friday Agreement now say? Now, the basis of this agreement is based on cooperation. It set up a new government for Northern Ireland representing both Nationalists and the Unionists as well. A new parliament, the Northern Ireland Assembly, was set up and sits in Stormont in Belfast. Other parts of the agreement are about respect for people's rights, whichever part of the community they come from. On that note, let's also play out a very crucial reaction coming in from the UK's Prime Minister Rishi Sunak.
It was great to welcome President Biden to the UK for I think the 4th time since he's become president, but particularly to a part of the UK that is very special and dear to him. It also reminds us of the contribution that America made to the peace process as we celebrate the 25th anniversary of the Good Friday Agreement. And President Biden and I spoke a lot about that, and we spoke in particular about the incredible economic opportunities that are there in store for Northern Ireland. And we talked about the investment potential that is there, the companies that want to invest in Northern Ireland. I think that's incredibly exciting. It will bring growth, jobs and prosperity to Northern Ireland, and I know he shares my ambition to see the institutions here back up and running. That's what people and businesses in Northern Ireland deserve. We are very close partners and allies. We cooperate and talk on a range of things, whether that's supporting Ukraine or, as I said, economic security. I think actually the relationship is in great shape, and the President and I have lots that we're working on together.
It doesn't seem like the relationship between the UK and US is in great shape, as is being claimed by UK's Prime Minister. In fact, let me quickly get in a sense of perspective in terms of the US President's visit to Belfast. And for that, let me quickly go across to Sanjay Surya of CNN News 18, who's joining me live right now. Sanjay, many are asking, why was the Sunak-Biden meeting downgraded from a bilateral to a coffee meet? Is there more than what meets the eyes?
Nothing but just a very quick cup of coffee on a side table in a bar in Belfast. This certainly was far less than the billed meeting between the Prime Minister of Britain and the President of the US, where they were expected to talk about a new trade deal, about very many other serious issues. This was very brief. In fact, a US official called it a bilatte rather than a bilateral. The Liberal Democrats Party in Britain says that the meeting was so short that there wasn't enough time to serve biscuits around a cup of coffee. There has been an insistence from the official spokesperson in London that substantive matters were discussed and that this was a productive meeting, that it was the third in 3 months, another is to follow in June, and yet another later when Sunak is due to visit the US. Trying to downplay reading too much into this, but clearly the protocol itself at such events is a statement. These things are quite carefully calibrated, and by all accounts, this seems to have been a downgraded meeting despite the official claims.
Right. Sanjay, at the same time, we are now aware that Joe Biden's proceeded with his visit to Ireland and he's just arrived in Dublin. What is Joe Biden's agenda going to be in Ireland? And everybody's been wondering, why did he choose to spend more time in Ireland than he did in Northern Ireland?
Well, Biden's interest in this visit to Ireland, the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland, is, as he said, peace. He is very keen that the peace that the Good Friday Agreement achieved should stay in place and that it should be consolidated and perpetuated. And this is something that he's personally passionate about. As we know, his family has Irish ancestry, and it's a connection that he keeps very actively and very fondly, and that brought his visit now to Ireland. He has said that he has concerns. There has been a change, there has been a good deal of challenge to the Good Friday Agreement. There was a Northern Ireland protocol put in place after Brexit, under which a lot of conditions were in place and they were removed, they were amended. Not everybody is happy with all those changes, particularly the Democratic Unionist Party, which is the party in Northern Ireland that is believes in and very passionately holds on to a union with Britain for Northern Ireland. It's mostly Protestants who form the backbone of the party and its membership. On the other hand, a lot of Catholics in Northern Ireland are far more amenable to warmer and closer relations with the mostly Catholic Republic of Ireland. These religious undertones have reduced over the years but have not disappeared entirely. The question now is what the EU will do, how Northern Ireland will fit in with the new EU policies. There has been some question about that as well. The EU wants that there should be a degree of a free trade between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland to avoid any hard border. Towards this, there was a compromise solution that the Sunak government has come up with that enables some sort of